Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 26th of September for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the standout features to look out for, but please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in much greater detail each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces. So as we go into this new week, so the power of the new moon in the sign of Libra and its opposition to Jupiter, which ended last week, is pouring, cascading its energy into this week too, because the Sun and Jupiter are in opposition for much of the week. Now this is a very nice state of affairs. What's not to like? Well, it's simply that Mercury in its retrograde is in a direct opposition with Neptune. And that particular link, even though Mercury is in one of its two home zones of Virgo, really can create quite a lot of confusion. And even where we're trying to be very diplomatic, reaching into the other person's viewpoint, we're trying to be good listeners, be a little bit more detached in terms of understanding that maybe people see things in a different way, it can all turn to mush with that particular and complex opposition. In fact, we could encounter someone who could actually tell us something that's absolutely a bare-faced lie. So really important to temper the enthusiasm and optimism of Jupiter being opposite the Sun with a real dash of realism. And fortunately, Mars, which is in the part of the zodiac which is very much to do with everyday communications, that's in a very stable link to Saturn in the sector of the community. So that gives us one opportunity to be a bit clearer. And then on Thursday, Venus moves into the sign of Libra. So joins up with the Sun. This is the sign that Venus governs along with Taurus, and it's going to be in opposition with Jupiter too. So I think we just got to try and see the best in each other, to be honest. There's also a very positive link between Mars and Pluto, which can help to cut through some of the confusion and the distortion that Mercury's opposition with Neptune can create. But I think if we can just realize that even if we're quite different in some ways, we do all have some commonalities. And if we can focus on the things that we can celebrate as having in common and not so much focused on the things that make us stand apart, then by the end of this week, there can be a real opportunity for an improvement in all sorts of interactions. The quarter moon, which does occur at the end of the week, is in the sign of Capricorn. So maybe when it comes to those professional relationships, there may be someone who wants us to conform with the expectations of the big business or the organization or the educational facility we're at. And that's tough. We all have to, at some level, let our individuality go and understand that there are certain conventions that we have to fit in with. But that could be a little bit of a sticking point at the end of this week, but the real way to make progress this week is to try to have a sense of clarity, but also a realistic sense of expectation, but then embrace that Jupiter bubbly energy too. Now, please stay with me for your individual forecast. If you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast, if you give me 3 pieces of personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can give you your year 2023 forecast, the rest of year 2022 free if you order before the turn of the year, and also your life map, your character analysis that can guide you for the rest of your days by giving you searing insights, some of those patterns that can be repeated, and help you to understand them much more. And with my special package, there's 30% off. Please see the link beneath this video. And finally, if you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. If you've already done so, thank you so much for your ongoing support. So Gemini, your week commencing the 26th of September forecast is really exciting. The energy from the new moon in your sector of self-expression and joys, the 5th house, is augmented through to Thursday still by the bubbly, upbeat energies of Jupiter. It's possible that there can be some really bright interactions. Also, Venus, the planet of love, but also of money, moves into your 5th house too. This can be a very romantic transit. And again, because Jupiter's in the mix, it's going to give you a bit more confidence to see the best in people. I feel that you're going to be in quite a high demand. Also, Mars in your sign could see you instigating some new approaches, particularly in its really constructive angle to Saturn. The only thing really is that Mercury, your ruler, is in a retrograde in your 4th house, which can be very tender. Mercury likes a degree of logic and detachment. The 4th house is watery, it's emotional because it's kind of very Cancerian. And of course it is opposite Neptune. Neptune in the part of your horoscope to do with your work and connection to the wider world. That aspect can really be very cloudy and very dispersing and distorting in lots of subtle ways. So for example, if you were trying to talk about a property matter to someone, it just may not be that you will get much clearer information back. Actually, despite Mercury's retrograde, it does forge a very penetrative link with Pluto. So when it comes to a property matter, that could be useful. But just be aware that Neptune's how you're connecting to the world. So therefore, you as the conduit receiving energy through Neptune, the energy you get or how you perceive it or how the information is shared may not necessarily be with the best and clearest of intentions. So if you're just focusing mainly on the playful side of life, socialising, getting together with people that perhaps you haven't been able to see through COVID, or if you go on a date or in an existing relationship, if you're a bit more spontaneous and do something together, or you get together with a group of people, I think this can be a really lovely week. But I think that opposition between Mercury and Pluto, not the best of weeks to perhaps discuss something of a more sensitive nature within the family or a property matter, despite Pluto's best intentions. I think the Mercury retrograde distorted by the Neptune retrograde is not the greatest. Maybe you're going to feel in some ways a bit sluggish or unclear on certain issues, but if you just give yourself the permission to do the things you really love, whether it's play music loud or paint or sit in the bar for a few hours and just sing at the top of your voice, or if you've got kids, really get a lot of joy out of their enterprises and the things that they're doing. All that stuff's really good. But I think, some swirly-whirly stuff's going on around your thinking about where you live or how you live there, or some information on a property matter may be faulty or not really being shared in a way that's actually factual. So just be conscious of that. Despite your great ability to, cut through and see where people are being, upfront or not, there is the potential for a bit of trickery, to be honest. I think that's the word, a bit of trickery. So stick to the fun stuff where possible this week, Gemini.